Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. And now, celebrating 15 years of broadcasting, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Whether you're tuning in on the radio dial in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM, we welcome you all back to our program. Also, those tuning in to our online affiliates around the world, including our iHeartRadio family, we're glad to have all of you with us as well. I'm actually joining you all live today from Los Angeles as we are here filming episodes for Cyrus Webb Presents, but I'm excited to welcome back a guest that has not been on the air with me in 7 years. Author Joanne Bender is back with us today. She's celebrating a brand new book this year called Casanova Cowboy. We're going to tell you about that, but also what it's been like for her to do what she loves as a storyteller and to be able to share that experience with all of you. If you're just not hearing about Joanne and her new book, we'll let you know at the end of our segment how you can stay connected with her. But Joanne, hello to you and welcome back to the program.
Well, hello to you, Cyrus. It's a delight and a pleasure once again to be speaking to the master of radio, and I guess now television too.
Well, look, I that's very kind of you to say, Joe, and I appreciate that. It's been an honor to do this show for the past 15 years, and like I said, over 7 years ago, you were on with us. So of course we have a lot to catch up with, Joanne. First of all, as I mentioned, you released a brand new book called Casanova Cowboy. What was it like for you as a storyteller to be able to share these new characters with the world?
Well, it's actually turned out to be the second in my Wild West series, and I had finished Rusty Springs, the first in the trilogy, which it turned out to be, and that's what's so exciting for a writer, is that the journey changes just as some of the plot lines change as time goes along. And I'm always astonished. There's always some character that will show up in unforeseen and just has to be dealt with. And this, of course, is what happened in the second book with a little lady by the name of Stormy, and she certainly lives up to the tornado that's part of her name. Okay, well, Rusty Springs now is being made into an audiobook by Books in Motion, which is an audio producer of books for audiobooks around the world. And they're very interested, of course, in Casanova Cowboy, and they're particularly interested in Ladies of the Teepee, which is the third in the series. And I have begun work on that, but right now I'm trying to connect the dots between all three books. I have some wonderful people out reviewing the book right now, and I'm starting to receive the information about their reviews so they can put it on Amazon when that's up in a day or two by Grey Dog Press, which published the book and did a wonderful job finding the great Western font. Western fonts are kind of tricky in being able to find them, but he did a good job. And so there were a lot of surprises in the writing of, first of all, Rusty Springs, and then to have it become a second book, Casanova Cowboy, and now to have a third book, Ladies of the Teepee, are waiting to become more involved. Now, the person in Rusty Springs is a blackjack dealer in Winnemucca who is being stalked, and she rushes to leave town, and she's helped on her journey. But that's another story. But she comes back in the third book to search for one of the characters, one of the ladies of the teepee who goes missing. And she has search and rescue dogs. And that's what happened in the first book, because she met and fell in love with the sheriff, Castellano, And girls or women just didn't understand how important his two dogs were to him, and how if the girl or the woman he brings by doesn't pass the inspection of the dogs, well, then that lady goes no further. But anyway, so it's going to be real exciting to see how all this turns out, because I've never done a search and rescue with dogs before. So I'll have a lot of people to talk to about how this works.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about the writing process, Joanne, because I think, and we can hear it even in your voice when you talk about these characters. I mean, do you find yourself just having to share these stories? I mean, do these characters live with you and you just feel as though you have to be able to tell the story of their lives?
Oh, I do. And then they get really upset when I'm not there doing it for them. Oh, it's like Facebook, and Facebook lets you know that, you haven't posted for X number of days or weeks or whatever. And the characters are like that too. Well, where are you? You left us. You left us. Now what are we going to do? But that's, to me, the spirit of being a writer, because you're put in a place where nobody else can do what you can do. I mean, nobody else would think of the things that actually happen in this part of the world and became part of these stories that are happening. And I watch the country now as it changes, and only 20% of our population in the United States actually lives a country style, and it's challenging, magnificent way to live, but it's very time consuming, and it takes a lot of growing and taking charge, you might say. And that's why I loved writing about, from the male point of view in Casanova Cowboy, because I have, in Lebensborn, it was from the female point of view, and in Rusty Springs, it was the female point of view. But I know from one of the unexpected reviews that I had on the phone the other day, a gentleman called, and he is a very taciturn, hardly ever says anything, but he called and he wanted to speak to me instead of my husband, who he knows through a professional organization, and he's laughing the whole time, and this is just so unlike him. And he's saying, "Oh, I read your book." And I said, "You read my book?" Because his wife was reading it to do a review, and apparently he picked it up and started reading it too. And all the way through the conversation with me, Cyrus, he laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. If I can do that with the story that relates to both men and to women, then I think maybe I've hit the mark. And I don't know how it was for you when you read the story. Did it come across?
Well, it's funny that you said that, because this is what I thought about Joanne, and I'll let our audience know this too, because it's the first time you and I have spoken about it. I think that I have never been to Montana before in my life, okay, but I feel as though the way you wrote the story, that you showed that Montana can be like any place with intrigue, with drama, with conflicts, and I think it kind of makes a connection to all of us, in a sense, in that, you, no matter where you go in the world, there are going to be people that are going through different situations. There are going to be individuals who have conflict. Was that part of the hope that you had, that readers would find that connection? Maybe they didn't know anything about Montana and what life was like there, but they would see parts of themselves in it. Was that part of your hope, Joanne?
Oh, I would hope so, because, first of all, the characters are attracted to the main character, Lance Turbyfill. In fact, the man who was laughing so hard, he says, "What? How did you come up with a name like Turbeville?" And I said, "Well, here's the thing. I was writing the story, and I needed a distinctive last name, and happened to be attending a wedding and was talking to one of the groomsmen who had the name of Turbeville, and I had to know about the history of this name, being English as he is, and would you mind if I used your name for one of the characters in my book that I'm writing now?" And he said, no, so he has no idea. And so I have to go back to the groom now and be sure he has a copy of the book that he can send off to this gentleman. But you see, we, like the people everywhere, there are 2 times in life when we're fully alive, and that's the beauty of life, is to be when you're fully alive. And those 2 times happen in our childhood, and also when we're in love. Then you're at the top of your game. You're just alive, you might say. Every moment means something. Your heart beats faster. You're just charmed by the little things that sometimes you didn't notice. In fact, that was one of the people that I know was reading the book, and I happened to be near her, and she said, "Oh, I need a pen and a pencil right away," she said. And I said, "Oh, you do?" She said, "Yeah, I'm just reading this," she said. And, "Oh, it was so good. I just had to write what you were saying down." And this is something my mentor of Lebensborn, who taught me how to write a simple sentence, would say in his critiques, "Put more of these in." When he'd come across something that he really thought was poetic and deserving in the story. And this happened to be a time when this cowboy is not feeling all the greatest. He gets to this place, he really doesn't want to be there, and he's making the best of the situation. And he comes into the kitchen and he looks out the bay window, and in the past, you see, as the mists are rising over the mountains in the distance, and there's a valley beneath it with green and brown, it would have been pleasing, but their beauty was going unseen. And now this is a line she really wanted to capture and keep with her. And I said at that point, there is no music in a soul that cannot see the freshness of an early morning after a rain or a mighty sky beginning the day. Now, those are times when I'm kind of glad I'm a writer. And,
right, for sure. And Joanne, I think too. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think the thing is, painting a picture with words is definitely a gift. And it's one of the things, again, I think your love of the world and love of the world around you definitely comes through in the way that you write. And I think that's one of the things that people appreciate. Is that also, I mean, do you see them vividly, Joanne, as you're writing? Do you see these characters as if they are real individuals walking around us?
Well, this cowboy certainly has all the attributes of the Western guy that we all can associate, because he dislikes towns. He doesn't like luxurious living. He likes beer and dancing and women, and he's fun-loving, and he listens. And so many times, when you have a conversation with someone, you just kind of feel that kind of 2 levels to this conversation. One, this feeling that you have is underlying, that you don't really feel they're there. You feel part of them is there. They're never totally there. But this is what was so is so remarkable about a guy like this. You can just see through his eyes that he's really paying attention. I mean, he's honest and truthful, and he's strong and fearless, and he's glad to share anything he has with you. But he's unorganized, and he can be strong, and he loves the freedom of a life of simplicity, and he's well known for his love of women, just like the original Casanova was back in Italy in the 1700s. But people love to be around someone they feel who is listening, and they want some of what they have, their spirit of adventure, their love of life, you might say. And
yes.
Well, and isn't that true? Don't you like to be around people who
exactly?
Who
It shifts the world. I mean, being around people like that definitely make your world feel even better.
It does, and well, that's what I was hoping, that people would. Although things are happening, events are happening that need to be challenged. How do you behave when there are unexpected surprises in life? Do you pause and consider before you move forward? And of course, that's what you're supposed to do if you live in the country, because there's always something unexpected happening, whether it's Mother Nature, new people in the area, animals, the difficulty with the things that Mother Nature throws at you, like the fire that happens in this particular book, and people fighting the fires. It's an incredible journey, and I'm glad you felt that I could capture some of the humanness that could relate to anybody, whether they live in the country or town or what. But
exactly.
I know,
and I think that's. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go
ahead.
ahead.
Well,
I was just going to say, I think too that readers, and this is the beautiful thing about storytelling, because I think readers are able to, no matter where they live, are able to unite around a book, and they will talk about a book, as you've been experiencing, Joanne, and share these characters with others, and that's one of the best ways for word of mouth to definitely happen. Is that one of the joys for you also, Joanne, knowing that you've crafted a story that you love, but also people who you've never met enjoy as well?
Oh, I'm hoping so. And I had no idea that my stories are tellable or readable, and people want to read them out loud. And maybe it's because of my love for radio, because once upon a time we didn't have television. We had only the imagination of radio. And maybe perhaps I have an underlying feeling that this is how a story should be told. But then I don't know. We'll see. The world is changing so fast and so swiftly. You know, everything is immediate. It has to be done quickly, and so I'm really pleased when I have a great surprise, like the man who I never suspected would ever read my story called and laughed all the way through what he was telling me about it. And it is nice.
Yeah, and I think the other side is, that this is only the beginning. As you said, there's more stories to come for sure, and that's one of the great things too. You mentioned Facebook earlier, Joanne. I want to talk about that before we let our audience know how to stay connected with you. What has that been like for you to share? Because I know you like to be around the country, around the world, being able to enjoy the world around you. What is it like for you to explore the internet that way through Facebook and connect with people that way?
Oh, it's amazing to me, the various people who will around the world drop by to. I do a weekly blog. Every weekend I blog, and now I will probably be blogging this week about the questions that were asked by this wonderful guy I talked to 7 years ago when Lebensborn came out, and
right.
We talked about the writing journal and what characters can mean to somebody. Well, now in this particular book, because there is a fire, there are a lot of more people. There are probably more wildfires in the United States last year than there ever have been, especially in California. So in one of the chapters, it's pretty detailed about how a woman comes over to help the rancher's wife figure out what she should take with her, because she's on evacuation notice. The fire is creeping closer. And, of course, the poor rancher's wife is kind of in a dither because her husband had gone out as a volunteer, and he was probably overzealous in what he did, and so he was really in bad shape physically. And so this is how the cowboy in the story becomes her hero, because he is the one who happens upon this circumstance and is able to do all the things necessary to bring him back to life, or keep him alive, you might say, because they are so remote. And the only way they could get help for him would be to take him to a hospital that really had the hospital, but there are no ambulances available. Everybody's busy on the fire. The only way he's stuck. She's stuck. They must answer the call. How can we keep this guy alive? And that's what happens in a country. You're remote. You have to be your own fire department. You have to be your own police department. You have to be your own medical assistants. Your communication. It's a challenge, but anyway, I hope I got a little bit of that in there about the fact that not only is he this darn likable, lovable guy, he may be not the guy that has this cream puff of a job in a company, but he's always moving job to job, and he never worries about the future. And that's a beautiful thing, Cyrus, to live in the present moment.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I think people will want to do, especially as they're reading the upcoming release, again, by Joanne Bender. Again, the title is called Casanova Cowboy. Now, Joanne, before we let you go, you have to let us know, when will the book be available for Amazon?
Well, I hope next week.
Okay.
It should have been this week, but things take time, and
right.
There he is. But there he is. And I'll look forward to hearing what you have to say about him in your review, too.
For sure, and I will definitely be writing one. So in the meantime, while people are waiting on the new release, Joanne, let our audience know, how can they stay connected with you? Okay, it's facebook.com and /Bender, BENDER, ASSOS, Bender Associates. I had a woman business one time doing construction seminars across the country, and so I continue to use that as my Facebook logo. I have a personal Facebook, but it's different from this one that I link to my blog, and I write on every kind of topic you can think of. This week's blog is about YouTube and going to YouTube to buy a vacuum cleaner, which turns into
my thoughts about this lady I found on YouTube who's living in her car. And so I'm very, I mentioned some things about that. I like to hope people can laugh once in a while. One of my favorite writers, Melson DeMille, he, in the past, has written things that you read along and all of a sudden you're just laughing. It's so vivid. And I'm Swedish, and we appreciate people who can make us laugh because we can't do it very well ourselves, but
right.
But it's wonderful.
Joanne, it's funny you mentioned Nelson. I got a chance to interview him last year.
Oh, you did? Oh,
I did. I will have to send you. I have to send you the interview. Yeah, I had a chance to interview him last year with his new book.
Oh, what is his new book?
You
remember?
His book came out in. Yeah, it came out in 2017. It's called The Cuban Affair.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh, that's wonderful. I didn't know that.
So I have to send you the link. But it came out last year in 2017, and I'm not sure what his title coming out this year is. But it came out in 2017. I had a chance to interview him for that. So I'll send you the link so you can take a listen to it.
Oh, I'm excited. Oh, I'm so excited. Well, tell me, how can my friends find your broadcast or what you do?
Well, sure. I will be definitely posting this on Facebook, and I will tag you at Bender Associates. I'm now following your page there, and they can just go to my website at cyruswebb.com, Joanne, and they will be able to find it there. But I will send you that information as well, okay?
Oh, thank you, because I have this fantastic friend who spends half of her life in the big city of Fort Worth, Texas, designing debutante and wedding gowns and things like that. And then she comes back here for a couple of months, and then she's gone again. So she said, well, how can I listen? How can I hear this interview?
For sure, and we will be posting it for sure. We want to let our audience know, so make sure you guys are on the lookout for Casanova Cowboy. Again, the author is Joanne Bender. Again, make sure you all are following her on Facebook at Bender Associates, and I've already tagged her on Facebook to make it easy for you guys to be able to find her there. And there you can see the beautiful cover for the book as well there on her Facebook page, so make sure you all do that. Joanne, congratulations to you again on the new book, and looking forward to speak with you again.
Oh, I just adored talking to you. Thank you so much for calling. And to think that you interviewed in person one of my very favorite authors. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You are welcome, and I will be sending that link over to you, Joanne, for sure. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music as well as a great book. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live today. You all make it a great one.